Okay, Misha.
Engineer, and start for 8 years ago to study physiology.
Okay. But Misha, if you, I mean, as I understand it, doctors are not really considered to be nutritionists. For example, you talk about specialization, but does that mean if these drugs are causing reactions with each other that bring on these lifestyle diseases, then what about the interaction of bad nutrition with these drugs? I mean, isn't that a major problem? That if you have, for example, carpal tunnel syndrome, and you're taking some drug with that, and then you go because you've got depression, you're taking something for that, and then you're taking something for this, and then you're eating food that's refined or what have you, doesn't it just compound the problems and make things much worse?
Well, that's exactly right. You know what? Today I mentioned I had a first-time client. I had a first-time session. I normally work with people with very close teams. Today I get a new one. So it's a woman, 74 years old, and she got a nerve inflammation. That's a neurodegenerative disease, but it's closely linked with systemic inflammation. And what I've been talking to her with, that's what I do with all my clients. I'm talking energy acquisition, optimization of energy acquisition through breathing, through better breathing, Buteyko breathing, through ketogenic nutrition. And what I said to her, that I found out, I asked her what she was eating, and I found out that she was mostly eating vegetables, and she is not really eating any saturated, any good fats. And that's when I started talking about saturated fat, she said to me, "Oh, I heard that. I heard all my life that it was a very, very bad for me." So I explained to her that's one of the things why you have all these symptoms. Because, well, you can start on the level of mitochondria. That's the lowest level. We can go to the electrons and but the level of the mitochondria, that's the energy stations of the cell. And the mitochondria is wrapped in a membrane, protective membrane, which actually is
the trigger.
There's a lot of there's actually saturated fat as a part of this membrane, and if you are not eating healthy fats, saturated fats, then you are depriving, then you are exposing the mitochondria, and that's the first level, you can say, because well, the saturated fat has something to do with nerve communication. Saturated fats have something to do with protective function of anti-inflammatory function. There's a lot of different things. Saturated fat, that's the richest kind of energy and the most lean kind of energy, meaning that it's pure kind of energy.
The best burn.
Yes. So she was actually not eating all of that, and that was her health practitioners were telling her, from her yoga teacher to the acupuncturist and things like that. She was very much into alternative way of working with health. So when I'm saying this, she's like totally, "Oh, what are you saying? This is totally against all everything she wants." And I tell her, well, we are in Denmark, but our neighboring country, Sweden, it was the first country in the world that reversed the food pyramid to actually include butter and lard and all of the things that were like prohibited before. All the saturated fat that it was said to be a killer. Promoted neurologic disease, promoted cardiovascular disease, promoted toxification of the body. Now we hear that it's hard to find out. You really need to keep with the news, because the news, the research and development in the medical industry, in the industry of health, is really, really going with very, very large steps. And there's for the last 5 years, there's a lot of research saying that, for example, inflammation in the brain, Alzheimer's, it's not about the beta amyloid plaque or the vascular idea of it's a vascular disease, but actually it's all about the inflammation. It's all about the low sensitivity to insulin on the cellular level, and they call it diabetes 3. And then they find out, there's a lot of research finding out that insulin is made in the brain. Insulin
as well as the pancreas.
Yeah, it's not only in the pancreas. They found out that actually insulin is made different by different cells in the body, also locally in the brain. And that's how they found out, actually, because there were some research where they used rats, and they found out that insulin levels in the body, in the circulatory insulin, and the glial insulin in the glia and the astrocytes in the neurons in the brain, it was different levels of insulin, and it was regulated.
Why should that be a surprise? Why should it be a surprise? I mean, basically, in every cell in our body, we have DNA, and the DNA is the blueprint, and the blueprint for everything that happens in the body. So therefore, if the membrane of the cell gets a signal, it's going to get that signal and say to the mitochondria, listen, we need some energy, we need to do this, and therefore the proteins produced will be based on the needs of the cell, and the DNA. Surely the DNA that's in every single cell is capable of producing any hormone, enzyme, protein at will. That's just my conjecture. I don't know. I've got nothing backed up. But listen, Misha, can I just get back to these things that a lot of people have? All these things. I'm sure everyone who's out there in the world today who's living what we could call a Western lifestyle, and that includes the Middle East, India, China these days. You know, Japan. I admire the Japanese because they've managed to be a very advanced nation, and also keeping some of their traditional diet. And you can see it because the levels of disease and the longevity in Japan is impressive, right? But we've actually gone down this path. But what I think here is all these conditions I mentioned, that people say, oh, that's just irritating. I don't want to do it. I'll take some cream, or I'll put some cortisone on that, or I'll take some tablets to suppress the acid in my stomach. The diseases as such, these irritation, aren't they signals of more serious lifestyle diseases to come? And by addressing these problems and getting all these problems sorted out, then you reduce your chances of getting a serious lifestyle disease later in your life. Would you agree with that?
Exactly. The first thing I would like to say that Japanese, that's right, they are healthy, but it's getting, the lifestyle disease, the same lifestyle disease as normal for the Western world, proliferating in Japan right now. Together with the SAD, with sadness, SAD, Standard American Diet. Yep. And so they have the same epidemic of diabetes and asthma and cardiovascular disease, though not at the same rate as in the rest of the Western world, or, but still. Well, the second question, that's the, exactly. And you see, we have two problems here that why we are really at risk at not seeing the disease coming. And there's two things here. The first one, as I see, it's the misunderstanding of physiology, or the lack of understanding of physiology. because there's a lot of different meanings thing, but people don't have a view on it where they really can understand how the things are interconnected, the interconnection. And then the second thing that we need to establish, because we lack it, that's the sensitivity. That the sensitivity to the signals that your body is telling you, is sending to you. The body is talking to you. And we are normally overriding the body's signals with we are overriding, because you know what we really want, and that is that's what our environment says to you. You have to endure. You doesn't matter what. You have to do this. You have to do that. So you have to suppress what your body really says to you. You have to go towards these tasks. You have to accomplish the tasks. It's not about like go in this direction and find out what is the best. No. You have tasks that are very, very precisely described, and you have no other possibility to choose than to go and to suppress your emotions, suppress your senses. And that's what actually debilitating us. That's how the disease comes out. That's how we stop sensing the body and start overriding the signals the body sends to us that really has to be like healing and prevent us from making, more injury. And that's, I see it, I work a lot with athletes, and I see it with athletes, for example, because they always want to win. And when they want to win, all the other things are totally, doesn't matter. How you breathe doesn't matter. You sometimes you train too much, you lift too much weights because you want to really, for example, I work a lot with tennis. You want to push hard. You want to make full follow through, and you think it's about the muscle power, but it's not. Actually, it's about relaxation. And that's a very hard idea to really get people understand. It's like
but it's a part of
both listening to your body, seeing the world with relaxed mind, and not always analyzing, but actually just being. And that's the part of the cure. And we don't have time. That's the problem. So one of the first thing, in order to reach the level of understanding and sensitivity, that would be really, really great. We need to accept the how do you call it? To do things slowness. The slowness. We have to accept the slowness of the process.
So we have to slow everything down, because the trouble is, in this world, I mean, if your work and everything's become a goal, there's a performance. We have to have a goal. We have to improve the productivity. We have to work faster, harder to reach goals. Yeah. And everything becomes a big mountain in front of us, and it gets harder and harder to climb. So what you're saying, as a part of the course, is that we have to learn to understand the process.
Yes, I just had actually a client today also on Skype from the United States, and he has a 4th grade cancer, colon cancer, with metastasis in the lungs and in the bone, in the tailbone. So in the 3 months, we've been working as the team every day. And the first time he's able to sleep, it's the first time in 4 years he's able to, he's better sleep. He was trying to work with 5 different doctors and alternative healers, or like, I'm not a healer, I'm just an engineer. But, he was working, he was feeling actually the diarrhea, the last months, the diarrhea stopped. And that's like a big thing, because when you have diarrhea, you have leaky gut, and all of the toxins, they're coming back. That's a backflash through the inflamed gut, through the leaky gut, back in the lymph. So you actually, all of the time, not detox really, and you don't ingest the micronutrients and the macronutrients normally, optimally. So everything is impaired because of the lack of the normal gut function. So that is about to heal, and he's still in pain. We're working a lot with pain, and after 3 months he's 57, I think, 57. So he has accumulated this cancer, and he said it. That's his words. For the last 40 years in his life, we've been working 3 months, and there's a lot of progress.
It'll take a long time.
Hard for him to accept the slowness and just really understand that the things we are trying to do for him, natural healing, by very slowly adjusting the diet, to learn all the vast array of breathing exercise. He's working hard, but it's very hard for him to accept the slowness. He wants the effect like that the pain disappears. And I'm saying to him, okay, you have to understand that just a second, I'm writing something on the online here, that it took him 40 years to accumulate, to accumulate the toxins, to really dismantle his system, the normal way of working for his system. And it will take a long time to fine-tune the system to work normally again. You need, I work with the STAR protocol when we're working with energy acquisition through through on cellular level, breathing, on oxygenation on cellular level, on working with ketogenic nutrition, with caloric restriction and intermittent fasting, therapeutic diet. We're working then with the immune resilience, physical resilience, mental resilience. We're working with structured movement that actually promotes lymph flow. And without movement, you cannot do natural healing. And there's a lot of aspects. And he's doing his work, because otherwise he's, the fate is he's going to die. But again, the acceptance of slowness, that's our biggest impairment in our age, to accept the slowness of the process. Because what we want, we have learned to have smart tasks. SMART, S-M-A-R-T. As a certified project manager, I know everything about that. And that one of the things that they have very, very well structured, very well defined. And, that's a problem, because when we work task-oriented, by definition, we're talking not only physiology, but we also are talking philosophy. When we work task-oriented, goal-oriented, we always trigger what? Angst. Trigger
fear.
The fear. That always triggers fear. And when
it causes stress.
To make a transition to a process-oriented way of working, and that's what we need to conquer cancer in a natural way. There's no other way. You have to understand the slowness. You have to really understand the process, and you have to accept that you have to work daily. You have to work your ass off. I mean, you have to work a lot.
But Misha, we're talking about, you talk about slowness, but it's funny enough, the paradox is there that people accept the slowness of the lifestyle diseases, because, I mean, let's face it, when we're 20 years old and we're young, we're fit, we go out, we abuse our bodies, we eat too many burgers, we drink too much alcohol, maybe, we smoke and think, it's no problem, we're immortal. And then these things start building up over the years, and we can't see that these things are accumulating. So, in the worst case scenario is that you wake up one day at 55, so I don't feel well, go to the doctor, he says, I'm sorry, my friend, but you've got you've got cancer, and not only that, it's metastating. And you know, my point about this is that everyone should realize what the situation is, whether you're actually going out and abusing your body, like a self-inflicted wound, as we say, you're doing it yourself, or you're just subject to all the bad stuff out there. That really and truly, if you want to be able to live a full and happy life, free of illness or free of medication, then you've got to listen up and do something today. But anyway, I tell you what, we've got a couple of people. I just wonder if I just throw the floor open. We've got an open seat. Does anybody want to come in and join the discussion? Just ask questions. You're very, very welcome. Ask Misha about everything regarding lifestyle diseases or whatever. You're very welcome. Does anyone want to do that? Otherwise, we'll move on a little bit and see if we could take one of these conditions, and if you explain how the protocol there, what aspects of it would actually do something. So I was thinking about joint aches and pains, because that's a tricky one. I mean, I remember my mother used to have terrible arthritis, and my granny she complained in London, they called it the screws. Okay. And everyone had these aches and pains once they got over 40 years old. So if we take joints, aches and pains, what would you do to help someone on the course to get out of this?
Yeah. The first thing, the joint aches and pains, that's systemic inflammation. Oh, what's changed? What happened with the sound? Steve, did you do something?
Have I done something? Can you hear me?
Okay, now it's better. Okay, so joint aches, the arthritis,
yes,
that's systemic inflammation. And
can you define that? Can you define that?
Just a second. So what's happening is that systemic inflammation, that's a lot of things. It's proliferating throughout the life unless you're doing things right. And if you're not doing things right, if your sugar is very high, for example, your insulin sensitivity is not really good, you're pre-diabetic, you will most certainly also very often have arthritis, have a joint pain.
So you're saying insulin causes it?
Why? Because you see, all of these things, they are connected together with how the lymph is flowing. Is it flowing or is it stagnating? And you see, in our body, we have a very big system of lymph nodes, lymph vessels.
And lymph is the
lymph is it's a fluid that's the crucial fluid for our immunity, and
it clears out rubbish, or
it takes out toxins also from all of the internal organs. And what it is that, if we get the inflammation, and if we are not moving, then the lymph is not slowly moving as it has to be.
Doesn't a heart pump it?
It doesn't have a pump. Like cardiovascular system has a pump.
Okay.
That's a pump.
Okay.
And the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump, but all the lymphatic nodes are situated in the places where the muscles are contracting, like here, there,
at the joints.
Exactly. And if there's no movement, then the lymph is stagnating, and then it creates something that's called
edema.
Well, backflash and edema. And the backflash is where, for example, we have one very, very vulnerable place. It's called the cisterna chylae. And cisterna chylae, that's a little cylinder of, it's a part of lymphatic vessels. And this cisterna chylae is actually accepting the flows from different internal organs.
It's located behind the abdomen, in front of the backbone, yeah?
Exactly, taking out from the thoracic duct and collecting all the toxins. And this cisterna chylae, it's one of the places situated just below the first and second vertebrae, just on the back.
And the lumbar vertebrae. You mean the
Exactly.
lumbar vertebrae?
Yeah. And if this cisterna chyli is stopped, and it's very, very often, you will experience actually collection of the toxins in your body, and you will
sounds horrible.
Pipes that are flowing into cisterna chyli that are collecting all the things, the garbage from the internal organs. They will experience backflow. So all the toxins will flow back to the place where they originated, to all the internal organs.
Wow, that sounds horrible.
And what's happening is this inflammation also very much, the part of it is the leaky gut, and there's the inflammation of the gut lining. And what it creates when we eat things and we come through our stomach, our gut, and then when the gut is leaky, all the toxins they was supposed to end in the drain, they end back in the lymphatic vessels that are surrounding the gut. So we are creating proliferating systemic inflammation. And because in this way, all of the places where we have a lymphatic nodes and in the joints, they experience backflow, and all of the toxins is going there. They are starting inflammatory process in the joints, and then the blood flow deteriorates. And when the blood flow deteriorates after the systemic inflammation, and the lymph flow deteriorates, and we are not moving, what do you expect to happen?
You just get sick. But it's something to thought about, Misha. Whenever someone has cancer, they talk about the metastasis, and they say the metastasis goes through the lymph system. So very often when people have an operation for cancer, they remove the lymph nodes. So afterwards, if they get ill afterwards, or if they carry on eating bad food, sugars, what have you, how on earth is the body supposed to clean itself if you have removed key parts of the lymphatic system? That doesn't make sense whatsoever.
Well, but that's how it works. And a very big part of our medical industry is working with symptomatic work, symptoms. So they are not clearing the cause of the symptom, and it's actually working with the symptoms. And one of the symptoms, like what is happening when a lymph node becomes swollen? Mike Warren is asking, and well, what's happening?
It's inflammation.
Well, that's inflammation, and this lymph node not send the soldiers, or for example of immunity, towards the place where the real problem. We have a real problem. So the flow of lymphatic system, the flow of immunity, is really very, very slowly is getting disabled. So all kinds of viruses, pathogens, bacteria, they not, the normal role of immunity to keep a lid over proliferating communities of pathogens, bacteria, viruses in local places. And that's how immunity works. It sends its combatants, its soldiers, some places. So that's why we have to have a flow.
The T cells.
The body communicates with the lymph nodes and the places where these soldiers are made in the internal organs. And that's a very, very finely orchestrated collaboration. All this collaboration just stops. So the population of cancer cells, there's not having, immunity doesn't hold a lid over this population. It has a possibility now actually to proliferate. And when it proliferates over the some distinct number per million cells, then we can see it in the blood tests. And that's when our doctors say, okay, this protein is too much of this protein in your blood tests. And this protein is connected with this kind of cancer. For example, That's what happens, and that's what we call the what do they call this this kind of organisms? It's it doesn't matter. I forgot the word. Sometimes happen, but that's what actually happens when the lymph node becomes swollen. It creates backflow. If this lymph node collects some garbage or some toxic material from other distant places in the body, and that's actually what creates afterwards the edema. Edema can be here. Edema can be on the legs. That's what normally happens when we have a kind of disease. It could be neurodegenerative disease, it could be cardiovascular disease, it could be asthma, it could be diabetes. All of these people very, very normally have swollen ankles, have arthritis, have water retention. So when we start working systemically, and that's my clients, their normal glucose goes down to 4 millimole per liter, and that's like almost a half. It restores insulin sensitivity. Insulin, that's one of the major hormones in the body, regulatory hormones, central hormones. When we start working with breathing, we are regulating blood pH, normality of blood pH, actually also acidity of the esophagus, the acidity of the
cells.
Yeah, acidity in here, in the, sometimes I forget English words. Oh, it doesn't matter. Well, the pH in the body are very, very different places. So the pH is regulated centrally. Okay.
So the best way to the question here is the best way to relieve that inflammation in lymph nodes. Well, one of the ways, or to prevent it actually happening, is the exercise to prevent it. I mean, I know you know why it's called edema. Edema comes from the Latin for egg white. It's nothing to do with the protein. It's just that I know this from my experience as with massage, with a masseur, that if you don't get rid of the lymph with the edema, then it gets thicker and it actually becomes like a glue, and actually it almost glues muscle fibers and ligaments together, so restricting movement. As a masseur, what one would do would be to massage back towards the heart, or towards the cistern, as Misha said, by massaging above, not below. You'd never push lymph into an inflamed joint, but above that. But the other way to do it, and Misha, part of the protocol is his program of movement, of exercising. How many joints are there? The 12 physical and 3.
No, 10 physical and 3
physical.
Virtual.
Three virtuals. Yeah.
That is called 3D, 3-dimensional lymphatic, 3-dimensional joint exercise actually, and we have 10. Physical joints we work with, and 3 virtual joints. And I also use something, work with a rebounder for my cancer clients. And the rebounder, professional grade
trampoline type thing.
Trampoline, yeah. Rebounder, and very often I'm working with the rebounder myself, standing with my elevation desk and standing in the rebounder during the day. So because that way because I work with a computer, but I want to be, I want to move. And this rebounder makes you move actually. And there was a lot of practitioners that was working with cancer with promoting lymph movement. There's some people in 70s and 80s in America, in United States, they made the system called lymphosizing, and they was actually working with a rebounder. And I later found out that they were pioneers in this field. And I just thought, okay, using rebounder, that was a very good idea. And I found, well, people think the same way. So I use it for my cancer clients, and for people, and for people that with highly impaired immunity, to work with a rebounder, that's a fantastic thing, because many of these people, they cannot really walk a lot from the start. No. And to start the work with a rebounder, it's fantastic.
Well, it's too much in one go, but exactly. to start but listen,
another thing, just let me mention, I also work with the cross trainer. When I have people with a terminal disease like terminal cancer, I tell them, you have to buy at home a good, very good cross trainer, because that's going to save your life, basically.
Okay.
The cross trainer actually improves the lymphatic drain and make the lymph work in a very, very good way, very smooth way.
Okay. It's wait a minute. How long per day on a rebounder? Well, I tell you what, just give you the other side of the coin here. I'm sitting down, I'm doing nothing, and you know what? This is actually fatal, what I'm doing, and you know, it's a hard habit to break. But after I've stopped speaking to Misha, I will do my Dharma Marga exercises. I should have done them this morning, but I didn't. But I will do them because it's very important. And I think you get a whole lift. Your body gets a whole lift from actually doing the exercise. You get a big thank you from your cells. But what I want to actually say there is that Misha's been talking, we've been talking generally about conditions and what have you, and Misha's been talking about the extreme cases of people in a life-threatening situation. Many of his clients have been diagnosed with cancer, and they often come to him when the radiation chemotherapy has stopped, and it's really a last call. And he works very intensively with them. But we have adapted the protocol to create a course over 50 weeks. It's a 50-week course. These small steps. We call it Lifesaver, and people say, why do you call it Lifesaver? We say, well, if you join the course after 50 weeks, you'll look back and say, wow, that was a lifesaver. That was a lifesaver. You know, so it's reactive in that way. You'll find out that it was a lifesaver. But you know, what I can say to everyone, and I can personally recommend this. You know, I've adopted this lifestyle change. Tremendous changes in my life and the way I feel and what have you. Things I never expected to happen. You know, I'm 62, and you get to that age, and you think, okay, that's it. But I'm really, you know, I'm really keen and really pleased that these positive changes. I never thought some of the changes I could actually do and achieve in my life. Constantly being overweight, constantly had indigestion, constantly had athlete's foot, had herpes outbreaks every couple of months, and you know. I'm not saying it's a miracle. It's not a miracle, but by working diligently and working under Misha's encouragement and his protocol, it definitely makes a difference. So I can really recommend this and take the benefit of what Misha has achieved in extreme cases, and actually go to sakharoff.com and subscribe to the course, of which this is a part of the course. Actually, it's open to all comers, but it's a part of the course to discuss their experiences, to bring up the queries, because we want it's open source in the respect that we want people to feel a part of a community, so they can exchange their views and encourage others. Say, I managed to lose so much weight, I managed to get this breathing going, and just be an inspiration to others. So that's a bit of a plug. It's a bit of a plug, but there we are.
And I can tell that this course is made on a way where I use the experience. There's something with the sound again, Steve.
Is there? Okay, I don't know what it is.
So I use the experience that I gained in the work, in one-to-one work, like everyday work with my cancer clients, with the people that have different kind of neurodegenerative autoimmune diseases, diabetes 1 and 2, asthma. This is, I we make videos about all of these things that are crucial in order to start systemic healing. And you are not me that healing you. You are healing yourself. It's your work. I'm just an engineer. I'm just a project manager. I am nudging you, and you receive 3 videos a week. You receive 1 audio file. You get 1 live session like that a week for 50 weeks. And that's enough to start a real strong healing process that not just stops tomorrow. It's not possible. And the course is costs only 1/10 of what it costs to be my one-to-one client. So it's a very good thing for people that cannot afford. But well, if you have cancer, you have like terminal cancer, things like that, the course, you have to be my client. You work with me, to expect some results and to move in this. But this course is for people that really want to prevent the disease, that are talking about longevity. They want to die from age, not from disease. And to the last day.
Well, you'd like to hope you would.
fully functional. That's my dream, because I want to travel. I want to love. I want to, make love to my girlfriend. I want to.
On your 100th birthday.
On my 100th birthday, yes, I will be able to swim. I mean, to drive a car, to experience different countries in the world, to see my grandchildren and grandchildren, and all of these kind of things will be possible. I think so, if we're gonna take some precautions while we are in the middle of our life, or it's never too late. 70, 80 is never too late. So if you have any questions, guys, please ask me. I have my mail here, and I will do my best to answer you as fast as possible. Misha Sakharoff.com. Otherwise, check the site. I have a lot of blog articles. Subscribe to the blog. Doesn't cost anything. So be inspired. I look forward to hear from you, your questions, things like that.
You're very welcome. If anyone wants to come in and say what I want to say and ask any questions, you're extremely welcome. Did you answer this question here? How long per day on the rebounder and how active on the rebounder?
Oh, I forgot that. Well, to Mike Warren, Mike, it depends very, very much on the state of health of a person. So what we really need to understand, it's very crucial not to overdo things, because if we overdo things, we have to really promote understanding of slowness. Also, in the days where we are able to do a little bit more, we have to listen. That's why I work with relaxation that we call progressive active relaxation, a technique that is I used and I learned from internal martial arts like Aikido and Kung Fu. Internal. We have to be in the center all the time and to listen to the body, what the body is telling you. So in order to prevent injury, or in order to prevent that the next day you will not be able to train because you just overdid things. And that's a common problem. Okay, so I think well, I can say 10 minutes to start with, 15 minutes. Turn on the good music you like. So just move. It doesn't have to be wild things, not salto mortale or things like that, but just be active throughout the day. And the rebounder and the cross trainer and just a simple walk. Don't have to run. You just walk and relax in the diaphragm. That's the biggest thing I can tell you that works. You have to learn to relax in the diaphragm while you're active, while you are walking. And that is a central part of everything. To be able to relax in the diaphragm, to relax the breathing muscle, to always walk and do the exercise with closed mouth, never with open mouth. If you feel that it's hard, then you have to, the severity of the exercise has to go down.
I'd just like to add here that the whole, although Misha's not a doctor in any way, he's an engineer. But having said that, we still feel, he still feels that that the Hippocratic Oath should be followed, and one of the parts of the Hippocratic Oath is in Latin. It's primus non nocere. Nocere. I can never say this. My Latin is horrible, and basically is I mean no harm or I do no harm. I can't remember what it is, but basically,
do no harm.
I do harm. So whatever Misha is saying that people should do, it's monitored, and it's designed that you should never come to harm.
Exactly.
With whatever is being done, you should never push yourself harder than your condition allows. And there's no one size fit all. We don't want 100-year-old people jump out of a wheelchair and start jumping on the rebounder, for example. That would be unreasonable. But if someone who is 80 years old and is not very mobile, they can make an improvement, and everything is relative. It's relative, and if someone who couldn't walk 50 meters can now walk half a kilometer, that is incredible. That's a tenfold improvement. That is an incredible improvement. Exactly. And when someone achieves that, they feel really, really good. It's an incredible life lifting experience to be able to do that. So everything by small steps. Kaizen, it's a Japanese principle. Kaizen, small steps. There we are. Sorry about that, Misha. I thought I'd just put that in there.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. And guys who are listening to us, please subscribe to our channel, to our blab. You can find Sakharoff on Facebook. Maybe I should post a link here. Just a second. And subscribe to the to the blog. So let's keep in touch. And we are here. Well, I will not say forever, but we are here to inspire you, and we're gonna do that a long time. That's our Facebook channel. So please like, and we're gonna announce the blab. We're gonna make it twice a week, right?
We're also gonna get some. There's a lot of Misha has an amazing peer group. There's a lot of amazing doctors in the States who have a very, very difficult job in actually coming up with anything that's different from what the medical industry dictates over there. And so therefore we want to actually mix this in with some people who have got some pretty good experiences, what have you, because this is not something we're in competition. Misha is not in competition with other practitioners. I think everyone who's a genuine practitioner wants to spread the word and spread their experiences and encourage people to be active and be aware and actually take charge of their health.
Yeah. And I really want also to promote the knowledge. I always accept practitioners asking me, and also coming here and living at my place actually very often, from Germany, from Sweden, from Holland, different places in the world. And then I'm giving 2 days where I inspire people. We are learning a lot from each other. So there's a lot of sickness in the world, a lot of different kinds of conditions.
It's getting worse. It's getting worse.
What I really want is to promote knowledge of a multifunctional approach. So where we're really working with we're not specialists anymore, but we understand the interdependence and the interconnection between different kind of symptoms. Why do our body allow the different kind of conditions to proliferate without stopping? And this knowledge we also give, practitioners like me, we give to our clients, because what we do, we teach people. We want people to understand the background of their conditions. So they will be able to really listen right to their body, to understand the signals, and to ask the right questions. Because I learn a lot from my clients. All of them, they do the research by themselves also. and I promote it always. And we are always talking about the new things, the new directions in the research, and that is very, 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 very interesting. It's like I feel, yeah,
it's amazing. Anyway, Misha, shall we wind it up there? I think
exactly. We'll do that, and yeah.
Okay then.
You guys who Elias, you just joined, you can always the replay. Guys, the last question: if you want to join right now and ask a question in the open seat, we've been talking about longevity, we've been talking about cancer, diabetes, lifestyle disease, systemic
ones.
Exactly, about joint health. We've been talking, about the detoxification and things like that. So if you want to ask a question, you just ask a question now through the live chat, or there's an open seat you can take. And it's time now, because otherwise we're gonna stop and see you later this week.
Yeah, and for those who have subscribed, you'll get the video tomorrow. With the next installment, you'll get the audio on Thursday, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And lots of encouragement in the meantime.
Exactly.
Okay. So thank you very much, Misha. See you later. Bye for now.
Bye.